Okay, so this week we're talking to landowners. We really want to take some time for you guys to help you guys be able to see through the industry processes and be able to see truly who you should be working with and why, and what the process for you is to filter through different individuals in the industry, because there's a lot of good people and there's, sad to say, some bad people in the industry. And obviously anybody that truly has your interest at mind wants you to work with somebody that's really good and that will be of a blessing to you and your process. So this is some of the notes we put down that we'll run through in our conversation with you guys today. So one of the first things I want to talk to is contractual ties. Our group is more out the back end with our contracts. We don't really front end tie up. And we've talked to this a bunch in other videos, so find us on our resource page and you'll be able to learn a little bit more about our process in particular. But the industry standard isn't our standard, and that's okay. There's a lot of contractual upfront effort that goes on in the industry, even though we're more back end after we've kind of earned the relationship and stuff. But since this is the industry standard, we wanted to kind of focus in on that. So if you're going to have early contractual ties with a company, just understand that it needs to be fair and reasonable for both sides. This is for their side. You need to be reasonable and understanding of their side and the risk and the exposure that they're going through, also in the timelines of trying to figure out what your land can or cannot do. In that, they can also end up encumbering you too long with extensions and tie up timelines and due diligence. And so just be really cognizant and aware of how those timelines should look. Most individuals should have a really baked out process, like a schedule and a timeline of things, and they should be able to submit that over to you. I know we have a list and we give our relationships a good gauge of the process up front so that they can be ahead of the curve in understanding what's coming. So just ask them for that, and ask them, for a timeline and a schedule and an explanation on why, if you feel like something's really long in their timeline, why that is, so you can better be fair with them and reasonable. A lot of extension stuff ties people indefinitely. That's why we really put in attorney review. Make sure that regardless of your situation, you have a third party or an attorney on your side that reviews it. I've known way too many landowners that end up just trying to read through the contract themselves because they don't want to afford themselves the attorney. That's not going to work. So just, if you're really serious about this individual and or this company and working with them, it will afford you the attorney. So make sure you go through that process. Another thing that happens a lot is you guys don't take enough time to, reference the individual. You just look at it and you say, or individuals do, the landowners, I've seen it one too many times, or an infinite amount of too many times, to be real, where the landowner didn't ask for any references. They just said, hey, show me your bank statement, like show me if you can close. And it's really not about whether or not they have the money to close and they can close, as much it is about their character and who they are, because even the best people that have the most money have the outlier experiences, like from the environment, that cause delays when you're in the development industry. Like all of a sudden a delay happened with the city. All of a sudden the economy changed like we're seeing right now, and you're contractually in a contract with them, and now you have to really be able to trust them and the process and be reasonable, and they need to be helpful in that process. So it's not just about the money and if they can close, it's actually about their character. So we talked about that, not about if they have the money and can close. Another thing is, great money can never make up for bad character. That's what we're saying. Bad character and good money, who cares? Good money and great character is what we're looking for when you're talking to them. And there's a few questions that I use when dealing with people in the industry. Me personally, as a developer, and I would highly advise you as a landowner to incorporate some of these questions to kind of test their character. Ask them who they most recently helped freely. Is there somebody that in their professional career most recently did something just free of charge? Like where they put the person first and not money. If they have a hard time coming up with those answers, they're not service oriented. They're really not. They're just trying to make a buck. That's a great question to highlight when you're talking to people. Ask them questions like, how does this matter to them in 1,000 years? If you died tomorrow, how would doing my development even matter? So I would advise you to ask those character questions, see what kind of responses they get, and just get a feel. There should be a spirit and light exuding from the person. If they're really a true individual, you'll sense that and go with your gut in this process. And then the last thing to help with that process, as you're getting contractually bound and you're moving through the process and deadlines are coming up, hopefully throughout that process, so when you do come to those deadlines, ahead of time, you already know that those deadlines are coming and might lapse. And you know that because it's been really transparent. And they've had you involved in meetings and all the relationships that are involved in the development and your land going on. So these are really crucial points that I would advise you to take a look at. We take this opportunity to work with landowners from a stewardship mentality, and that's why we delay some of these contractual ties to be a little bit later once we've actually earned the business. And this is also why we give transparency and access to everything, all of our relationships, to all of our conversations, and that way you're feeling very comfortable as we're passing through this process. Hopefully we get to be one of the groups you talk to. Hopefully our spirit and light resonate with you as a landowner. And if so, reach out to us at mcclarycompany.com. We look forward to being of a blessing and a service to you. Thank you.